determined to be actual cyber incident. The others were advisories that we provided to our citizens. So these direct advisories are issues to citizens that reach out to the CSA to fact-check information they come across online and to perform some due diligence before taking actions online. Top reported incidents include the cyberbullying, online loan apps, online fraud, which includes shopping fraud, investment scams, job recruitment fraud, romance scams, among others. Online blackmailing has also been reported, as well as unauthorized access to protected systems. Certainly, impersonation, and we have also received destabilizing cyber attacks against children, and hence our strong partnership with UNICEF and other players to mitigate threats. The total monetary losses arising from this period stands at 49.5 million Ghana cedis. Please, these are just the losses collated arising from the usual fraud that the general population face. It does not include the attacks against our critical institutions where money are stolen or network systems and services are disabled. And these are also direct losses, the 500 Ghana cedis, the 1,000 Ghana, the 2,000 that people are losing through Momo fraud. So it represents a very minute fraction of the losses within the entire ecosystem. During the same period, ladies and gentlemen, the capacity building and awareness creation division of the authority engaged a total of 257,984 individuals in a number of sensitization activities in collaboration with a number of MDAs. Some of these MDAs include the Ministry of Education, Gender, Children and Social Protection, Finance, Ministry of Energy, Ministry of Tourism, Fair Wages and Salary Commission, and few other MDAs. We are grateful to these institutions for their collaboration as we strive collectively to promote a culture of digital safety around our work. Mr. Minister, cybersecurity awareness is significant in showing up our security and promoting education on existing threats to encourage more proactive and responsive measures. This is seen in Ghana's improvement towards cybersecurity development over the last few years. Globally, Ghana is one of the many countries to observe the Cybersecurity Awareness Month, which also include countries like Canada, South Africa, Mozambique, the United Kingdom, Australia, Germany, France, Japan, Singapore, South Korea, Rwanda, and many more. So the Awareness Month is a global event, and Ghana is part of this global community to promote awareness. This year, the authority noticed the increased need to raise awareness on cyber hygienic practices among children, the public, businesses, and governments, and hence the team promoting a culture of digital safety, which is relevant in building a resilient digital economy by making the country digitally safe with a collective mindset and behaviors that values and promote responsible online behavior. For children, promoting a culture of digital safety means mitigating the risks associated with content that children access on the internet. The conduct of children itself when they are online, and the very contact that they establish on the internet. For the general public, a culture of digital safety simply means taking responsibility for your conduct on the internet. Hence, normally the advice is you think before you post. That is the responsibility, personal responsibility to promote a culture of digital safety. For businesses, a culture of digital safety means, from the CSA perspective, recognizing the inherent risks of digitalization and making the necessary investment in cybersecurity. This starts with the board of directors who are mandated to drive the culture of cybersecurity in the various organizations. For a government, a culture of cybersecurity means protecting the digital assets of the Republic, including personal data of our citizens. The government also has the responsibility to provide leadership and commitment towards building a sound and resilient digital ecosystem, including appropriate financing for cybersecurity. Ladies and gentlemen, after years of private sector organizations being left to deal with cyber incidents on their own, and I want to commend bodies like ISACA and others, because this whole response has been led by private sector. But governments are now assuming full responsibility, and many are considering legislations and laws. For example, in the US alone, a set of new regulation enforcement are being promoted. In 2021, 30 states of the US enacted some form of regulations to protect the digital environment. CSA, we can only be proactive and lead a national response, working closely with our parties, including the Joint Cybersecurity Committee, to implement appropriate regulatory interventions. The CSA is currently implementing several regulatory activities, including the licensing of cybersecurity service providers, accreditation of cybersecurity establishments, and also cybersecurity professionals. For the first time in the history of this country, we have records of the number of cybersecurity service providers, number of cybersecurity facilities, and cybersecurity professionals who are operating in the country through the licensing and accreditation process, which commenced 6 months ago. As at the end of September 2023, a total of 134 institutions have registered to apply for license as cybersecurity service providers. This is beyond the estimated value when we went into this project. A country of our size, we were estimating about 100 cybersecurity service providers. We currently have 134. Please, I think that's encouraging. I wish my team members were here, especially LECO, led by Madam Jennifer, to receive this applause. I think they have exceeded the target. But that is also, in matters of this nature, it also gives us an insight. It's likely there may be many more in view of the requests and others that are coming, and we'll be working with the board to possibly grant some few weeks or months of extension to see how many we are likely to bring on board. But that goal of at least having visibility of institutions offering cybersecurity services within the Republic has been achieved. Beyond that, the authority also has received 41 applications to accredit cybersecurity establishment, which are the Managed Services and Digital Forensics Lab. This number will certainly increase. I know there's a number of developments and a number of security operating centers and others are being established. And hence, I'm already making the case to my board members here already to allow for certain time to further engage. It's the first time we're doing this. And I do believe once we intensify the engagement, we can achieve a better result out of this. But it's also interesting to know that across the 3 tiers that we have outlined, tier 1 category, tier 2 category, tier 3 category, we have received a total of 732 cybersecurity professionals requesting to be accredited. I think arguably, this is the most successful regulatory exercise. It has not ended. This is just the beginning. And I think it's good that we have received the commitment and collaboration from all of you, especially the industry. And I think we'll continue to work to strengthen this process and ensure Ghana leads this process, not just on the African continent, but globally together only with Singapore. We thank you for believing in the fact that an African country can lead in a process that we see clear future. The licensing accreditation process has been successful so far, and we thank you, as I've mentioned. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I leave with you this thought that ours is a work in progress. I think that has been my mantra within my team. It's a work in progress because we are a new institution. And it is a work in progress because cybersecurity is also an evolving area. We may not have it all figured out. I admit, certainly. I don't think there has been a perfect regulatory regime. I haven't seen one. And that is why it's work in progress. I think two key things. We cannot fail to act. And two, we can only engage to perfect what seems to be what? Not right. Awareness creation towards promoting a culture of digital safety, therefore, is our starting point. Therefore, every one of you, join us as we celebrate this year's National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. As we begin the month of awareness, I entreat you all to be active participants. Cyber threats are existential. Therefore, they will never go away. We can only remain vigilant and agile to respond to them accordingly. I thank you for your attention.
Many thanks, Director General, Cyber Security Authority, Dr. Albert Entry Bosiako. This event is being streamed live on the Facebook page of the Cybersecurity Authority, so send the link to your friends. Up next is an address by a representative of the private sector. Let's welcome founder and president of Ashesi University, Dr. Patrick Ewua.
Thank you. Good morning, honorable ministers, members of the Joint Cybersecurity Committee, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me to this event. It's a real pleasure to be here to share a few thoughts on cybersecurity and the role of education in all of this. Let me first say that my remarks are going to focus mostly on intrusions into systems, into computing systems. So as you shared, cybersecurity involves a lot of things. There's talk about misinformation and bullying and all of that. I'm not going to be talking about those things. I'm going to be talking about intrusions, and specifically intrusions with malicious intent. So that's how I'm organizing my thoughts. So first, I want to share a couple of examples that I recently read about of cybersecurity incidents that happened in the United States. One was to a financial institution, and the other was to a tech company. So both institutions that had been attacked had quite sophisticated security systems in place. They had quite sophisticated networks, computing equipment, large teams of people guarding their data. And yet they were successfully hacked. The first one, to a financial institution, involved an attack against a database server that had a vulnerability that had not been patched. So there was a vulnerability, it was a known vulnerability, there was a security update for it, it hadn't been applied. It was one of many, many systems. It was just this one system that was not secured. A hacker got into it, put a piece of software on it, and then steadily borrowed their way into the network. That attack lasted 10 months before it was discovered. And by the time it was discovered, a lot of data, credit card data and so on, had been compromised. And it was found by an IT person on their team who one day noticed a critical server that was sending data to an IP address outside their network that they weren't expecting to happen. So he raised a flag and there was a full investigation. It was a very sophisticated attack. This person had software that was running in memory, not on disk. It was leaving very little traces. It was doing things like scanning information and sending it out a little bit at a time because a massive upload would be recognized. And so it was quite a sophisticated attack. The second one against a tech company was an attack that came in through an end user. So it was just a simple phishing attack. So an email was sent to somebody, he clicked on a link, something got downloaded onto his machine, and then that malware then figured out his password and then logged into the system through a VPN and then continued. So got other people's passwords, eventually got an admin password and credentials, and stole intellectual property from this company. That attack lasted a few weeks before it was discovered. Now, the reason I share these examples is just to say that in spite of all the work that we might do, incidents will still occur. And when incidents occur, you have to really pay attention to how you respond to those incidents. The different ways you can respond. So an IT person who sees something funny, who doesn't have the curiosity to investigate it further, loses a chance for the organization to find a serious attack. An IT person who discovers something and has sort of this instinct to, I found a piece of malware on a machine, I'm just going to delete it. I'll just clean up that machine. Also has caused a problem, because what you really need to do is you need to do a full investigation, figure out how the attack happened, how this malware got in, what else it has done, what other systems are compromised, and have a complete response. Now, just also to pause to say all of this is going to accelerate. I recently watched a video of two scientists who described using an AI to identify a vulnerability in a system, and then ask that AI to write some script to exploit that vulnerability. And this AI just wrote the code to break into a system. So now, you know, the bad guys have some very powerful tools that will help them actually move faster. The other complicating factor is I started by talking about computing systems. Well, because of the Internet of Things, computing systems are all around us. It's not just computers, it's mobile phones, it's watches, it's televisions, it's refrigerators, it's just all around us. And so basically the surface area for attack is also increasing exponentially. And that's what we're dealing with. Now, there are ways that the two attacks that I described could have been prevented. One was quick and regular updates of security vulnerabilities. You know, we all see these announcements about a vulnerability, there's a patch that's available, and we need to update our systems quickly. We need to pay a special attention, I think, when organizations merge, when there's an acquisition of another company. You're now integrating a different system into yours, and your IT oversight of that integration has to be very thorough, very complete. The second is user education. You know, the weakest link is just an end user. And it's usually not some very sophisticated code that is breaking through your firewalls and things like that. It is just getting somebody to click a link out of interest or curiosity or out of greed, or, you know, say romance scams out of love. But they just click a link that they shouldn't click. And suddenly there's something on their system that can now do the work to find other vulnerabilities in your system. So teaching people about digital hygiene. In my environment, running a university, we have a computer science department. And as you can imagine, the end users, the students and the faculty, may want to set up servers. There's some organizations here, you'll have people, end users, who want to set up a web server. They want to set up an FTP server within your network. And if they don't do it correctly, they open up vulnerabilities into your network. So digital hygiene for end users and as well as super end users. The third is two-factor authentication. So don't rely only on usernames and passwords. So have, a code that's going to be sent to a mobile phone or something like that. Have some other two-factor authentication. This, of course, is sometimes compromised if your end users are traveling into countries where two-factor authentication doesn't work for them. So I'll give you an example. There are times when I have traveled into other countries and my mobile phone stops roaming, right? So because this country, you have to go register your phone and you have to do other things before your phone will work there. And because of that, my two-factor authentication is compromised. I shouldn't admit this, but there's at least one occasion where my solution was to borrow someone's phone, call my IT director and say, turn off two-factor authentication for me, which is not the thing to do, but I needed access to my speech. I needed to get onto email, right? And that's a vulnerability that's opened when something like that happens. And then finally, I think that especially for larger organizations and organizations that are protecting very sensitive information, just you have to do the work of actively trying to find vulnerabilities in your system. So you have white hat hackers who work for you. You have red teams that are actually doing occasional exercises to try and break into your system to see if they can. It's sort of like how we do fire drills, right? You have to do these drills, and you don't tell people the drill is happening, and you figure out if people are able to break in or not. I'll share with you, at Shesi, we teach cybersecurity, and in one of those courses, students were given an assignment to hack into our system with our permission. And so they come to you and they say, can we have permission to try and hack into your system? I didn't, my system it's too critical, but my chief of staff did with my permission. And these students tried to get into a system. And he knew they were trying, and they still succeeded. Okay? So, but they didn't succeed in getting into Ashesi stuff. They got into his personal stuff, right? But just to say that it's a good exercise to actually have people working on your side, on your team, that are helping you probe and find vulnerabilities. We also need to, I think holistically about incident response. So we often think that to respond to a cybersecurity incident is the preserve of our cybersecurity experts. It is that, but not only that. It's going to involve legal counsel. It's going to involve PR. It's going to involve sometimes bringing in external consultants because you don't have the internal capability to do a full investigation. It's going to involve having somebody who's going to be your liaison to, national security or to law enforcement. So it is actually a multidisciplinary team that is required to respond to serious events. And all of this gets very complicated if your organization is operating across borders. So let's say you're a bank and you're operating in Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, other jurisdictions. Now, to really do the investigation that might go into other jurisdictions, you have to think about the laws in those countries and all the legal implications of how you go about discovering what has happened. And then, of course, the hackers may also be watching you watch them. So let's say there's an attack And the smart thing to do is not to just delete stuff, but you take your time to figure out what's happened. So you're doing work, trying to figure out the full extent of this intrusion. Be aware that they might also be noticing what you're doing. So your communications now have to be encrypted. So the team that's working, there has to be confidentiality around what they're doing. They need to maintain personal information and make sure that things don't get announced prematurely and this sort of thing. But they also have to be very intentional about what their deliverables are. So when you're doing such an investigation, your deliverables are, you have to be writing reports to management, to law enforcement and others. You have to contain what has happened and eliminate the threat. And you have to learn from the threat to put in place prevention so that this thing doesn't repeat through the same vectors. You often need specialized tools, hardware and software to do this. You need specialized training for people. You need consulting and all of that. So it can all get quite complicated. And I'm so glad you talked about funding. This is something we often don't pay enough attention to. So, in our environment, I visit lots of organizations, and you can walk into buildings and you can see deferred maintenance. They've not maintained the building, or they're not maintaining their vehicles. They've probably not set aside funds to do this kind of maintenance. Well, if you do deferred maintenance on your cybersecurity infrastructure, you have a problem. Your equipment has a useful life. You may have a firewall that has a certain amount of memory and a certain amount of disk storage. And today, it can back up data. The logs can go for like 2 months. But as traffic increases, you might get to a point where that same system can now only store logs for 3 days. Now, when this happens, your ability to investigate and find or even detect intrusions is compromised, because the thing that happened 5 days ago is suddenly lost to you. So you have to be upgrading your systems as you go. And you have to not have deferred maintenance. And this means that your financial structure, your financial model should be to have funds dedicated to this, saved away, put away, so that you can always upgrade systems as you need. Now, let me switch gears a little bit and talk very briefly about what this means for us in education. So the role of educational institutions, especially universities, is we educate people broadly, right, for society. We educate people very specifically in computer science, in information technology, IT experts. And we also produce intellectual capital. So if we're doing our research right, we're actually coming up with innovations. We are coming up with patents. And those things need to be protected to be used for the advancement of our country and the advancement of Ghanaian industry. So we have to protect that data. And we also have data on students and so on. So let me talk a little bit about educating people and how do we educate people to be excellent? I'll borrow from the words of Aristotle, where he talked about, there's two kinds of excellence, or there's two things that feed into excellence. There's the intellect, and then there's morality. Now, intellectual excellence, you build from instruction, you build from experience and time. Moral excellence, you build from behavior, repeated behavior. And what this means is that excellence is not just an act. Excellence is the habits that people form. And so the way we do education at Ashesi University is to pay attention to both the intellect and morals. And we focus a lot on nurturing the right habits of the mind and the right skills. We have a set of learning goals that include ethics, critical thinking, communication skills, teamwork, innovation and action, curiosity, technological competence, and professionalism. And one thing you'll notice about this list is actually it's the same set of skills that will be needed in your cybersecurity teams. They actually need to be good communicators. They need to be technologically competent of the technology of today, not the technology of yesterday. It means that we need to educate them in a way that they're constantly learning. They're constantly curious. They need to be able to work in teams, not only teams of technical experts, but teams that include lawyers and PR professionals, law enforcement, and so on. In the disciplines, we focus a lot on learning by doing. So our curriculum is very project-based. Students build things. They tinker with things. They build things that fail, and they learn from those failures to learn how to do things better. Now, we also value connection. This is the last point I'm going to make. We value connections with the world of work. And so we are very proactively connecting with private sector. And one thing that I would love to make an appeal is that you invite our students as interns to work in your operations in cybersecurity, because that's where they're going to really get hands-on feel for the things that are challenging to you. And that's how we also get feedback on how to improve the work that we're doing at Ashesi University. And not just at Ashesi, but all universities. So not just internships for Ashesi students, but internships for students from KNUST, from the University of Ghana, and other places. So now, I just talked about intrusions. And we could go on all day. We don't have all day. This is a much bigger scope of work that is confronting us. And I'm so thankful that we're taking a really hard look at this. And I'm grateful for your invitation to come share a few thoughts this morning. Thank you.
Dr. Patrick Ewa, thank you very much for your remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to acknowledge our sponsors and our partners who have been extremely kind to ensure that we run this national exercise. We have Maxim, Redwall Solutions Limited, Virtual InfoSec Africa, E-Crime Bureau, SGS Ghana Limited, United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes, UNODC, Germino Data Systems, and Omnicard. We also have our sponsors, of course, the National Communications, I beg your pardon, partners, and we sincerely appreciate all the commitment. The World Bank Group, Huawei, ITU, the Council of Europe, the German Corporation, the Bank of Ghana, UNICEF, Africa Union, and ECOWAS. Thank you very much. Help me, please applaud them for their sponsorship. We'll be listening to another invigorating remarks, and I believe strongly that with the few statements that Dr. Patrick Ewa gave, we have an understanding of how the cyberspace operates. Development and situations within the cyberspace is quite fluid, and it explains why a number of the activities would have to receive urgent prompt. Our guest, our next speaker, beg your pardon, is a representative of our international partner, UNICEF, Mr. Fiacre Makasi, Deputy Country Representative. Please let's welcome him.
Honorable Minister and Deputy Ministers, the Director General, Cybersecurity Authority, other heads of government agencies here present, members of the National Cybersecurity Technical Working Group, stakeholders from the Child Online Protection System, and of course, friends from the media. Ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Good morning. I think I was introduced with the idea that I would provide an invigorating speech. I'm afraid that's probably not going to be the case, but I hope that's okay. Let me just say that UNICEF is delighted to be here to be part of the official launch of the 2023 National Cybersecurity Awareness Month on the theme of promoting a culture of digital safety. And I really want to congratulate the government of Ghana for the action taken in recent years to strengthen the cybersecurity space in the country. I also want to commend especially the Cybersecurity Authority, not only for its work, but also for having this annual celebration. Over the past years, the internet, just to use the term, has become an ever integral part of our lives. I think it's fair to say that most of us have embraced its potential for research, for communication, entertainment, and information. While for many children, it's also fair to say that it would be impossible for them to imagine their world without the internet or without internet-enabled devices, mobile phones, and so forth. There really is now an overwhelming presence of the internet in our lives, and it has become critical for us now to promote a culture of digital safety for all, particularly for children, because they are exposed to dangers that defy age, that defy geographic location, and defy other boundaries that are more clearly defined in the offline world. Manifestation of this, according to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, in 2022, nearly 22,000 cases of child sexual abuse material were being accessed, shared, or reproduced from Ghana. This figure was 750 in 2016. So there's an urgency here to act. And there are maybe 5 key developments which are worth mentioning, which demonstrates that action is being taken. One is, for example, building the legal and regulatory framework around digital safety and the current development of the legislative instrument to the Cybersecurity Act that will strengthen the Act's implementation while placing children's rights at the core to facilitate digital safety. We're also building awareness. UNICEF, for one, is working with the Cybersecurity Authority to secure Ghana's cyberspace through the National Cybersecurity Awareness Program, the National Cyber Challenge, and supported regional sensitization programs in senior high schools across 16 regions. We've also been highlighting all the risks, the most acute risks. The child online safety component has been incorporated into the Ghanaians Against Child Abuse campaign and the Child Protection Community Facilitation Toolkits. These are resources used by both government and NGOs to stimulate discussions and actions aimed at preventing abuse and exploitation of children. And these are deployed at community level. Already over 150,000 children and adults have been reached with messages on child online safety. In terms of building the capacity of children themselves and within the school environment, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, a digital literacy materials pack for pre-tertiary schools has been developed and has been rolled out. This is to ensure that digital literacy skills, including online safety, are firmly embedded in the education of our children. There's also institutional capacity. For example, 3 years ago, UNICEF has supported the cybercrime unit of the Ghana Police Service to establish a dedicated digital forensics lab to deal with online child sexual abuse material. And we will continue to support this critical part of their work. Another area where we need more focus is precisely in engaging the private sector to act. And we encourage the Cybersecurity Authority to continue its engagement with telecommunication companies and internet service providers on the key provisions, as well as their roles and obligations within the broader frame of the Cybersecurity Act 2020. Honorable Minister, we cannot attain digital safety unless there is individual and collective commitment and contribution by parents, families, communities, government, and the private sector at large. We recognize the steps initiated to promote a culture of digital safety in Ghana. Now more than ever, it is important for Ghana to ratify the optional protocol to the Convention on the Rights of the Child on the sale of children, child prostitution, and child pornography. We commend the ongoing efforts by the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection towards that ratification, and we look forward to the approval by Cabinet and Parliament before the end of this year. But we invite each and every one of us here gathered to join the call to promote and deepen a culture of digital safety to help protect every child from the threat of online sexual exploitation and abuse. Please be sure of UNICEF's commitment to support, and please ensure that we should all be committed towards a future, a cyber future for our children, which is safe and benefits everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. McKenzie, for your remarks representing UNICEF. We'll now hear from the Honorable Minister for National Security. Let's welcome Honorable Albert Handapa.
The Deputy Minister for Communications, honorable members of Parliament, I note that the cybersecurity expert and economic expert, Honorable George Sam is here. Sam George, you're welcome. Dr. Patrick Awia, you have no idea how I'm always excited when I hear your name. Thank you very much for being here and all that you've done for Ghana. Thank you. The GC3B Special Envoy, Mr. Mokhtar Yedali, the Chief of Staff and senior members of the Armed Forces, the Director General of the Cybersecurity Authority, Dr. Albert Ntwibu-Osiakon, the Director General of the NIB, of NACOM, of Immigration, of Fire and Prisons, Dr. Joanochi of the NCA, members of the Governing Board of the Cybersecurity Board, ladies and gentlemen. I'm deeply honored and privileged to be here today as we gather to launch the 2023 edition of the National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. This annual event holds tremendous significance for those of us in government and for our nation. Because to us, it underscores our commitment to safeguarding our digital landscape and protecting the interests of our citizens, our businesses, and our government institutions. The digital realm has become an integral part of our daily lives. It's transformed the way we communicate, the way we conduct business, and the way we access information. This is nothing less than a revolution, a technological revolution that has brought immense benefits and at the same time has also exposed us to the unprecedented risks, from cyber attacks on critical infrastructure to the proliferation of misinformation. The digital landscape presents challenges that demand our utmost attention. What this means is that, yes, Africa is catching up fast in terms of connectivity. But a clear observation is that the internet is a double-edged sword. It's a sword that creates both developmental opportunities as well as threats to security. And it is also clear that the power of the internet has erased borders across the world. And I think they are right when they say that cyber attacks launched from Africa or anywhere in the globe can reach a target anywhere in the world, which is why we must mount a joint response to this global danger of cyber crime. This year, we convene under the theme promoting a culture of digital safety. And this theme reflects the urgent need to foster a mindset of responsible and secure digital practices among our people, particularly our children, the public, our businesses, and of course, our government agencies. It's a call to action, a rallying call for all of us to take individual and collective responsibility for our digital security. Cyber threats and crimes have evolved and at an unprecedented pace, in the process posing serious risks to our national security and the well-being of our citizens. And as we embrace the countless opportunities presented by the digital age, we must also confront the challenges that come with it. The internet, yes, it's a powerful tool for innovation, for commerce, for communication, but don't let us ever forget that it can also be a treacherous terrain if not navigated with care. And today, the landscape of cybersecurity is a dynamic and complex one. Threat actors are becoming more sophisticated. They are targeting not only our government systems, but also our businesses, our personal data, and the very fabric of our society. Can you believe it? They seek to exploit vulnerabilities, disrupt our way of life, and compromise our national security. And the responsibility to combat these threats, I think, does not rest solely on the shoulders of our cybersecurity agencies or the government. I think it falls upon each and every one of us. Just as we lock our doors to protect our homes, let us take proactive measures to safeguard our digital lives. Education, mass education, and mass awareness, I believe, are our most potent weapons in this battle. And this is precisely why we have gathered here today. And let me applaud the effort of the Director General of the Cybersecurity Authority, Dr. Albert Siakon, the CSA board, the management and staff, for taking this bold step in regulating the activities of cybersecurity in the country. The license and accreditation of cybersecurity service providers, establishments, and professionals is a major step, a very important step by the government in not just developing the sector, but also safeguarding our national security. The National Security Awareness Month serves as a platform to educate, to engage, and to empower our citizens. A month-long endeavor dedicated to raising awareness about the risks and challenges in the digital realm and equipping individuals and organizations with the knowledge and tools that are needed to navigate this domain safely. And during this month, we will focus on enhancing collaboration and partnership across government, industry, and the international community. We want to recognize that in this digital age, we are interconnected and interdependent like never before. And our success in promoting a culture of digital safety hinges on the strength of these collaborations. Our goals for this year's Cybersecurity Awareness Month are very clear. We want to increase public awareness. In so doing, we want to ensure that every Ghanaian understands the risks and consequences of irresponsible digital behavior. Through educational programs, through workshops, through outreach efforts, we want to take the message of digital safety to every corner of our nation. We want responsible digital practices. And we want to call upon individuals, again, businesses and government agencies to adopt responsible digital practices. And this also includes safeguarding personal information, using strong and unique passwords, updating software regularly, and being vigilant against phishing attempts and other cyber threats. And I think Dr. Patrick Awuah gave numerous practical examples. Again, during this week, we want to engage and educate us on ethical conduct. How do we promote ethical conduct in the digital sphere? How do we ensure respect for privacy? How do we make sure that we adhere to cyber laws? And how do we make sure that we all make responsible use of technology, which we believe should be ingrained in our digital culture? And again, privacy protection. We want to emphasize the importance of protecting our digital identities and personal information. Privacy is a fundamental right, and we must do everything in our power to safeguard it. Yesterday, I was to hear the Honorable Sam George preaching this on national television. And ladies and gentlemen, in closing, let me express my gratitude to all the stakeholders who have come together to make this event possible. The collaboration between government, the collaboration between industry and the international community, I think underscores our shared commitment to securing our digital future. And let us remember that the essence of a strong and a secure nation lies not only in our fiscal borders, but also in our digital defenses. And I want to call upon all Ghanaians to actively participate in the activities and programs organized throughout this Cybersecurity Awareness Month. I believe, I'm sure you agree with me, that together we can create a safer and more inclusive digital environment for all, an environment which is characterized by respect, by privacy protection, and ethical conduct. And let us also embrace the theme for this year's Awareness Month. Let's make it a reality, not just for ourselves, but for generations to come. I want to thank you. Thank you for listening, and may God bless our efforts to promote culture of digital citizenship. Thank you.
Honorable Albert Kandapa, thank you very much. Guess your remarks walked us through the theme, the essence of the culture that we need to develop to ensure that our cyberspace is peaceful. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to acknowledge some of our very special guests who are here. And my attention is on some, not all of them. Intermittently, we'll be doing the due acknowledgement. We have some members of the Joint Cybersecurity Committee here. Nana Atobra Kweku, Director General of the National Investigations Bureau. Major General Insia, Defense Intelligence. Colonel Dr. Tim Tabana, National Security Council Secretariat. He was with us earlier, and we sincerely appreciate his presence. Nana Kofi Asafedu, Director General, Ghana Domain Name Registry. Mr. Joe Anoche, Director General, National Communications Authority. Madame Patricia Dusepoku, Executive Director, Data Protection Commission. We want to specially acknowledge the presence of the representative from the National Signals Bureau. If you are here, just give us a wave. Thank you very much. We sincerely appreciate your audience. We also have a representative from the Bank of Ghana. Thank you very much, sir. In due time, we also be acknowledging the presence of representatives from the respective embassies in the country. We are very grateful. Up next on our program is the address by the keynote in the person of Mr. Mokhtar Yadali. Mr. Modali is the representative from the Global Forum on Cyber Expertise and a special envoy, Global Conference on Cyber Capacity Building, GC3B. With a hand of applause, please help me welcome our keynoter, Mr. Mokhtar Yadali.
Thank you very much. Honorable Albert Kandapa, Minister of National Security. Honorable Amampoma Boateng, Deputy Minister of Communication and Digitalization. Dr. Patrick Owa, President of Asishi University. Dr. Albert Antwi Bosiako, Director General of Cybersecurity Authority. Honorable members of the Cybersecurity National Committee. Distinguished representative from international organizations, security agency, academia, business sector, and from civil society. Ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Allow me first of all to express my sincere gratitude to each of you for the privilege of joining you today to address an issue of paramount importance, the promotion of digital safety. I stand before you deeply honored to be in the presence of such esteemed dignitaries in armed forces. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I make this speech of my previous speakers mine. Their contribution has really saved me time and saved your time. And actually, I just wanted to start with one definition or semi-definition As you certainly know, when internet started at the beginning, it was for academia, and it gets really mature with the mature content. On that point of time, if you ask somebody, do you cyber, meaning do you visit mature content? And today, if you ask somebody, what do you cyber, meaning do you hack? Do you post fake information? Do you do intrusion? Those are the new definition today of what does it mean, do you cyber? Ladies and gentlemen, the world is witnesses an unprecedented digital revolution. In Africa, which is rich cultural pastry, diverse landscape, and resilient people, stand at the precipice of this transformation. Our young minds are pioneering innovation. Our business are venturing into the digital realm, and our government are embracing the possibilities of a global connected world. However, in the midst of this remarkable transformation, we must confront a looming challenge, the rising tide of cyber attacks and attackers. As we enthusiastically embrace the digital age, we must also acknowledge the ever-growing threat of cybercrime. The numbers speak by themselves. The exponential growth of online and mobile interaction has created millions of opportunities for cyber attacks and cyber attackers, many of which lead to breaches, to data breaches, with far-reaching consequences for individuals and businesses. A pervasive lack of awareness among individuals and organizations has left us and them vulnerable to various cyber threats. Nearly 80% of observed threats group in 2021 and over 40% of malwares that have observed today were previously unknown at all. The vast majority of African entities and individuals have experienced at least one cyber attack without their knowledge. Cyber attacks are causing trillions of dollars of damages every year. It is projected that by 2025, the annual cost of damages from cyber attacks globally will reach $10 trillion, representing the 300% increase from 2015 levels. In response, organizations worldwide spent approximately $150 billion on cybersecurity in 2021, and the figure is growing by the rate of 12% annually, and this is still insufficient. Currently available commercial solution gives you only the illusion of security. They do not fully meet the customer demands in terms of automation, pricing, services, and other capabilities. Segments such as data protection, governance, risk and compliance, mail security and awareness, and of course, network security, represent each of them an addressable market of 60 to 100 billion US dollars with a penetration rate of 10 to 20% a year. These numbers are not just statistics. They represent the livelihoods of our people, stability of our economies, and the sovereignty of our nations. Ladies and gentlemen, in our increasingly connected world, where technology invades every aspect of our lives, digital safety has become a paramount for our children, the general public, the businesses, and the government. Cyber attacks and cyber attackers have not discriminated anyone, anything, and they will not. They have targeted all entities and institutions across the continent, imposing substantial financial losses for African countries. While progress has been made in recent years, many African nations still struggle with the inadequate cybersecurity infrastructure. This includes specifically the shortage of skilled cybersecurity professionals, limited access to cybersecurity tools and technology, and an insufficient government investment in cybersecurity. In this context, 4 areas are likely to shape the future of our policies, strategies in the building of our African market, the cybersecurity sector. First, the cloud computing technology, artificial intelligence, managed services, and specifically the pricing mechanism. Behind this, there are 5 key drivers for the growing potential of cybersecurity. One, more attacks are targeting smaller companies, SMBs. Impetus from regulations, closing the visibility gap with artificial intelligence, talent shortage and service offering, and higher level of customer engagement, specifically the cybersecurity, has gone and come to the sea level. For Africa to excel on this landscape, we must focus on 3 critical fronts. Ride on a cocktail of the cloud transformation, create a thriving African cybersecurity market and industry, invest in automation, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. Ladies and gentlemen, the proliferation of cybersecurity is not a remote concern. It is a present reality. It threatens our businesses, our government, and our people. But in the adversity lies opportunity, an opportunity to unite, to innovate, and to excel. Today, we invoke the spirit of Kwame Nkrumah to unite for the common purpose of securing our digital future. Just as Nkrumah believed in united Africa, we too must unite in the face of digital adversity. To do this, we must embark on a journey that begins with education. Education is the cornerstone of digital safety. Let us invest in our youth, arm them with knowledge, and unleash their potential as our cyber guardians. It is time to build our educational institution, create a specialized cybersecurity programs, and forge partnership with industry experts to ensure our workforce is equipped to combat cyber threats. We must also foster innovation. We must harness Africa's creativity and develop cutting-edge solutions for cybersecurity. Let's support our startups and entrepreneurs, provide them with resources, and create an ecosystem that encourages innovation. Governments across Africa must lead by example. We need a comprehensive cybersecurity policies and frameworks backed by a robust legislation. Cybersecurity must become the national imperative, and sufficient resources must be allocated to protect our critical infrastructure. In unity, there is strength. We must forge partnership beyond our borders, collaborating with international organizations and fellow nations. Cyber threats recognize no boundaries, and neither should our response. Together, we can share threat intelligence, collaborate on cybersecurity research, and develop strategies to combat cybercrimes on a global scale. Ladies and gentlemen, I am immensely proud to be here in Ghana, the birthplace of Global Conference for Cybersecurity Capacity Building, GC3B. Ghana stands as the beacon of leadership in cybersecurity capacity building, not only for Africa, but for the entire world. This conference to take place in the end of November is not just an event. It's a testament to what we can achieve when we unite the face of digital adversity. The very essence of this awareness month we are starting today is to emphasize on the importance of collective collaboration and partnerships. It is only through such concerted effort that we can foster the culture of digital safety. We must unite as a nations to protect ourselves and our digital assets from growing threats in cyberspace. Ghana, which is pioneering spirits, illuminates the path toward showing us that African nation can lead in shaping tomorrow's cybersecurity landscape. Ladies and gentlemen, we hold the power to shape our digital destiny. Let's embrace this challenge with courage and determination. Together, we will not only safeguard our digital future, but also unlock unparalleled opportunities for growth, innovation, and prosperity. Let us work tirelessly to create a united, secure, and digital empowered Africa. Thank you, and may the visionary spirit of Kwame Nkrumah guide us on this remarkable journey. I submit Adase Madaiwasi.
Shukran. Thank you very much, Mr. Jidali, for your remarks. Mr. Jidali is with the GFCE Africa Program Director and GC3B Special Envoy. Thank you so much. A couple of quick acknowledgements. Mr. Daniel Jampo from Isaka, Ghana. Thank you so much for making time to be here. Mr. Ken Edu Amanfo, Director General of NACOC. We appreciate your presence. And then members of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Communications and Digitalization. Thank you for your support.
We thank you. A number of dignitaries for us to acknowledge. We also have the Cybersecurity Authority Governing Board. Please permit me to make a few introductions of the person. Some of them have their representative here, so we would ensure to do that. The representative from the Minister for the Interior, Honorable Ambrose Derry. We especially want to acknowledge you on the CSA board. Honorable Dominic Nitiwu, Minister for Defense Rep. We acknowledge you. Ambassador Esther Jifa Ofori, the President's representative on the board. We especially acknowledge you. Mrs. Mavis Afako Amor, President Representative on the board, we acknowledge you. Mrs. Sadlid Bene Prempe, President Representative, Madam, you are especially welcome. Thank you very much. Professor Boateng Owona Ajeman, Ministry, that is Industry Forum, you're welcome, sir. Mr. Carl Saki, Industry Forum, Carl, you're especially welcome. Also from Industry Forum, Mr. Reginald Boche, we welcome you especially, sir. Thank you very much. Permit me also to acknowledge a full list of the Joint Cybersecurity Committee members, and I'm doing this in full. So once again, I just want to run through this. From the Superior Court of Judicature, Justice Ifia Sewa Asari Boche. Madam, you're welcome. Mr. Richard Ochri Fosu, Director General, NITA. We also have Mr. Joe Anoche, Director General, NCA. Madam Patricia Eduse Poku, Director General, the Data Protection Commission. Dr. Maxwell Opoku Afari, First Deputy Governor, the Bank of Ghana. Mr. Kweku Dia, Chief Executive Officer, FIC. Nana Atubra Kweku, Director General, NIB. COP Mameya Tiwa Adodankwa, Executive Director, Yoko. DCOP Mr. Frederick Ajay, Director, that is a Deputy Director General, CID. Colonel Dr. Timba Tabana, Director, NCTFC. We also have Mr. Kobna Eduboahene, Director General, NSB. Major General A.Y. Insia, Chief of Defense Intelligence. Mr. Lord Akwesi Afifa, Deputy Controller, that is a Comptroller General, GIS. Ambassador George Abaka Blankson, Deputy Director General, RT. Colonel A.K. Odia, Director General, Ghana Armed Forces. Madame Yvonne Atubra Obobisa, Director of Public Prosecutions. Mr. Nana Kofi Asafo Edu, Executive Director, GDNR. We have representatives from some of the embassies and we have some ambassadors. Please permit me once again to make these acknowledgements. The High Commission of the Republic of Sierra Leone, His Excellency, Mrs. Frances Virginia Anderson, Doctor. We also have Ambassador of Morocco, Her Excellency, Mrs. Imani Kadil. You're welcome, ma. We have from Saudi Arabia, Deputy Head of Mission, Mr. Saeed Al-Bakar. You're welcome, sir. We have from Rwanda, Charge Day Affairs, Mr. Theophile Urangwa. You're welcome, sir. From Togo, Ambassador, His Excellency, Mr. Awoki Panasa. You're welcome, sir. From France, Political Counselor, Miss Christine Battesti. Madam, you're welcome. We have from Denmark, the Head of Trade, Miss Training Loba. You're welcome, ma. We have from Nigeria, Counselor, Miss Okoro Wanjiko Waribi. You're most welcome. So these are some of the guests that we have with us. Kafui, you will take over.
Thank you very much. And just before we have the official launch, I'd like just to add that we also have with us the board chair of the Ghana Domain Name Registry, Reverend Dr. Nana Yawu Suprempe. It's good to have you here as well. Ladies and gentlemen, for the official launch of the National Cyber Security Awareness Month for 2023, she's MP for Joabin, but most importantly, she's Deputy Minister for Communications and Digitalization. Let's welcome Honorable Ama Foma Boateng.
Thank you, Kafui. Please allow me to use the existing protocols so that I can quickly sum up the speech on behalf of my minister so that we can all launch the program and go home. It looks like there's a tall list, so please allow me to just go on with it. I see familiar faces and I'm happy to be here too. If you know Doc, you know that you definitely become a cyber security expert. My colleagues from, I'm happy to see Honorable Odote Soa, who used to be the Deputy Minister for Communications, and he's here with us. Thank you for coming. And my colleagues from Parliament, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the growing number of cyber attacks is a reflection of why we are here today, to launch and to create awareness in this month of October. By one estimate, cybercrime will cost the world economy 10.5 USD, just like the our invited guest mentioned earlier, per year by 2025. And a recent study also found that the global cybersecurity worker gap, that is the gap between existing cybersecurity workers and cybersecurity jobs that need to be filled, was 3.4 million workers worldwide. So, Doc, we are happy you're training the Ashesi students. I can see another rep from Ghana Telecom University, and we are happy to work with you to produce the experts that we desperately need. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is of great importance that we look back at the work done to bring us here today. The then National Cybersecurity Secretariat, which transformed to the National Cybersecurity Center, was established to fulfill the government of Ghana's commitment to putting in place needed structures to deal with cyber crimes that keep arising as a result of increasing digital connectivity. In 3 short years, the center evolved into the Cybersecurity Authority following the enactment of the Cybersecurity Authority 2020 Act 1038. Under the Act, the CSA, which is the Cybersecurity Authority, has the mandate of promoting and regulating cybersecurity activities, encourage international and domestic cooperation, prevent manage and respond to cybersecurity threats and cybersecurity incidents, and regulate cybersecurity related matters. Additionally, the CSA has the responsibility of creating awareness on cybersecurity matters among children, businesses, the public, and government. It is in fulfilling this mandate that we are gathered here today. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to launch the 2023 edition of the National Cyber Security Awareness. This annual event is of great significance as it allows us to reflect upon the growing realm of cybersecurity, which is critical to ensuring our nation's resilience and security in today's digital age. The cybersecurity industry is a rapidly evolving one, presenting us with increased opportunities and challenges. Even with priority placed on protecting electronic information, there is ample reason for businesses, organizations, and the public to be concerned. According to the Group Special Mobile Association's Connectivity Index 2023 report, Ghana scored 86.69% in online security and is ranked third in Africa with a score of 51.4%, marking significant progress in our internet penetration in the last 5 years. The Interpol Global Crime Trend Summary Report also highlights that ransomware, phishing, and online scams and hacking are perceived as significant threats worldwide. These reports are evidence of the risks that accompany the opportunities presented by the digital space, and we cannot gloss over their devastating impact on the nation as a whole. These developments, as well as several others within the cyberspace across the world, have collectively informed the choice of the theme for the 2023 edition of NACSAM, which is promoting a culture of digital safety. The theme aims to highlight the importance of cultivating a communal mindset and behavior that values and promotes responsible online practices and the protection of personal information. Furthermore, this year's NACSAM is expected to help create synergy between public and private sector stakeholder groups to intensify awareness about the importance of cybersecurity and the internet risks associated with it. The accumulation of the knowledge shared through this year's NACSAM would help the public, businesses, and government appreciate the ongoing work of the Cybersecurity Authority, such as the need to protect the country's critical information infrastructure. The CSA, or the Cybersecurity Authority, has taken several key measures, including the establishment of a directive for the protection of critical information infrastructure, which highlights the baseline, cybersecurity requirements, incident response, and reporting mechanisms, as well as audit and compliance procedures for all designated CII owners. Additionally, Ghana has been working to strengthen its legal and policy regime to address online child sexual exploitation and abuse. In August this year, advocates in the child protection ecosystem collaborated with global experts under the auspices of the CSA to brainstorm on firming up the laws on child online protection in the development of a legislative instrument to the Cybersecurity Act 2020, Act 1038. This would further support the implementation of the Cybersecurity Act 2020 and allow the authority to carry out its mandate successfully. Still, regards to child online protection, the CSA has intensified its education of cybersecurity best practices among children over the years, with more than 136,000 children sensitized across the 16 regions of Ghana. As part of the achievements over the period, a cybercrime or cybersecurity incident reporting point of contact deployed in 2019 to provide citizens with multiple avenues and channels for reporting cyber-related incidents has so far received about 41,285 contacts, with 9% being categorized as incidents and 91% reported as direct advisories, which Doc mentioned earlier. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, through the collaborative efforts of the Joint Cybersecurity Committee, especially the Economic and Organized Crime Office and the Bank of Ghana and the Cybersecurity Authority, several persons who were allegedly involved in online loan fraud were arrested in a swoop in Accra in July this year. Within the country, institutions, private and public, have no luxury to operate in silos. Within the last 5 years, Ghana has taken progressive steps towards the development of cybersecurity in the country, and these include the ratification of the international treaties like the Convention on Cybercrime, also known as the Budapest Convention, and the African Union Convention on Cybersecurity and Personal Data Protection, known as the Malabo Convention. I smile because when I was on the communications committee, and we had the Malibu Convention, that was the nickname for Doc, because every time we meet him, it's Malibu Convention. In June this year, the country signed the second additional protocol of enhanced cooperation and disclosure of electronic evidence to the Budapest Convention. We have also ensured the institutionalization of cybersecurity to foster regional cooperation through the adoption of the ECOWAS Regional Cybersecurity Cybercrime Strategy and the Regional Critical Infrastructure Protection Policy to strengthen Ghana's international response in fighting cybercrime and to improve cybersecurity. The country joined international organizations like Global Forum on Cyber Expertise, GFCE, and FIRST, FIRST, to improve capacity building as well as incident response and coordination. We have further strengthened our international cooperation efforts by signing an MOU with Mozambique and Rwanda during the launch of NACSAM in October last year to encourage skills and knowledge sharing. This year, more than 1,200 cybersecurity experts and stakeholders from around the world would converge in Ghana for the inaugural Global Conference on Cybersecurity Building, which will take place from 29th to 30th November. Ghana's nomination to host the GC3B is a testament to the work done by the government of Ghana to regulate Ghana's cybersecurity ecosystem through international cooperation activities by the Cybersecurity Authority. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we embark on this journey through this awareness month, let us keep in mind that the impact of our actions reaches far beyond our individual lives. It extends to our workplaces, our communities, and our nation. By taking cybersecurity seriously, we not only protect our personal interests, but also contribute to the broader security and stability of our society. Thank you, and may we learn a thing or two from NACSAM 2023 program. But I would like to use this opportunity to announce that the Cybersecurity Awareness Month is duly launched. Thank you.
I don't know whether the applause was enough. We are launching the National Cybersecurity Awareness Month 2023. And from now up to the end of the month, series of activities will be taking place. The government of Ghana, through the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization, will be working through the CSA and other private organizations to ensure that we receive overdose of cybersecurity information. So once again, let's appreciate the Honorable Deputy Minister for the launch of the 2023 National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. I will take the opportunity to do some few acknowledgements as we have here. Unfortunately, we are unable to mention all the names, but we have Dr. Collins Yeboafari, Director General of the Kofi Annan Center of Excellence in ICT. Dr. Yeboafari, you're most welcome. We have the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Telecommunication Chamber, Mr. Ken Nashigbe. Thank you very much. Let me acknowledge some few people who are also here. We have the Controller General of Immigration, Mr. Kwame Eswatechi. We have members of the JIC who have also joined us. Like I stated earlier, unfortunately, we are unable to furnish you with all the names, but respectfully, we acknowledge your presence. We have heads of GIFEC and KSCE ICT. Apart from your Director General, a number of you are also here. We acknowledge you. We have the Director General of the IIPGH, Mr. David Gowu, and his team. We duly acknowledge you. Permit me to run through this list, quite important for me, from the CDS, CDI Defense Intelligence. We have the Director General NIB, the Director General RD, Director General NSB, Director General CID, Director General GRS, the Customs Preventive. We have the Director General Prisons, Director General Fire Service, Director General NACOC. I think Kafi has made the acknowledgement earlier. Director General Counter-Terrorism. We especially want to acknowledge all of you. Thank you very much. Permit me also to do this acknowledgement. Major General Nicholas Ando, Chief of Staff. We have Air Commodore George Ako Dadzi, Deputy Commandant of KIPTC, Commodore Asiedu Dako, Representative of Naval Chief of Staff, Brigadier General Intim, representing the Army Commander, Air Commodore Eric Ajin Frimpong, Base Commodore Air Force Base Accra, Professor Kester, JTUC. We sincerely acknowledge your presence. Right, Kafui.
Thank you very much, Mary. I understand we have the cutest, one of the cutest parliamentary select committees in Parliament. Only 2 members, and I should mention their names. The Honorable Sam George, Honorable Slightete, good to have you here. Give us a wave. Let us know you're around. Thank you very much. At this point, for the vote of thanks, I'd like to call on a member of the Joint Cybersecurity Committee to do us the honors of the vote of thanks. Yes, thank you. Let's welcome him with a warm round of applause. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kafui. When he was leaving, he said, I should let you know who I am. So I'm Nana Kofi Asafuedu, Executive Director of Ghana Domain Name Registry, and I'm a member of the JCC. Honorable Deputy Minister, Honorable Ministers, Honorable Members of Parliament, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Everyone here is fully appreciated, and we thank you all for the part you played in making this occasion a success. So if you don't hear your name or organization, we apologize. But I'll be remiss if I did not single out a certain individual who happens not to be here today to say a huge thank you to her. The Honorable Mrs. Ursula Owusu-Ekufu ably represented here by our Deputy Minister, Amapuma Boateng, has worked tirelessly over the past few years to ensure that the cybersecurity secretariat moved quickly from being a secretariat through a center to a full-grown authority. Through her indefatigable efforts, and I want to say that, Madam, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we'll be coming to you for more. At this point, I'd like to say a big thank you to our distinguished speakers for their valuable contributions and submissions. Mr. Makasi, Honorable Kendapa, for reminding us that the internet is a double-edged sword. With all its good parts, there are bad parts, so we have to take care. Mr. Patrick Ewa, for encouraging us to actively defend cyberspace. Mr. Mokhtar Yadali, reminding us to invest in AI, among other things. And Honorable Deputy Minister for duly launching the Cybersecurity Awareness Month. To all our speakers, we say a big thank you. Distinguished participants, without your presence here, this event would not have been possible or would not have taken place. So, honorable ministers, members of the uniformed services, members of the various ministries, government entities, public services, diplomatic corps, boards, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. This event, as you can see, was made possible by a lot of sponsors. I'll make my very best effort to go through all of them, the sponsors and the partners. So the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization, the NCA, the World Bank, Council of Europe, UNICEF, Bank of Ghana, Huawei, GC3B, the EU, ECOWAS, HOCWAC, Expertise France. We thank you all for your great efforts in being a partner to the CSA to make this possible. To the sponsors, eCrime, Virtual InfoSec Africa, Maxam, SGS, Red Wall, GDS, and UNODC, we say thank you. Finally, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say a big thank you to the CSA team who are always consistently working hard behind the scenes, putting in all the hard work to perfect all the details that are relevant to putting together such an august event under the able leadership of Mr. Malabo, Dr. Albert N.G. Bosiako. So on behalf of the MOCD CSA, I thank you all for your participation, and I wish you a fruitful time during this year's National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Thank you.
Sorry, I think we missed the point. Honorable, I take the nickname given, even though it's the first time I'm getting to know. But I think it's proper to do proper recognition. I was only a channel carrying the message under the leadership of Madam Esla, but working closely with the then technical working group. But the very man who started the process, who initiated the Malabo Convention process is Motka. Motka, stand up, let's recognize you. Thank you.
Mr. Mokhtar Yadali, thank you very much. When I was taking the microphone, I told myself, I hope Malabo is not going to be the name for my Director General. And then he takes the mic, he says he accepted. So thank you. All right, so I'm going to just do this briefly. We have a Chief Fire Officer here. We're doing some late acknowledgement. Please forgive us. Julius Kuno, Chief Fire Officer, said thank you very much. Thank you. We sincerely appreciate you. I guess it's time for us to do this closing prayer, but I've had a charge and a charge to keep I have for our sponsors. the notice from the Cybersecurity Authority, the board and management of CSA is extremely grateful for your kind sponsorship. Maxim, Red Wall Solutions Limited, Virtual InfoSec Africa, E-Crime Bureau, SGS Ghana Limited, United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, Germino Data Systems, and Omnicard. IPGH, Mr. David Go, I didn't hear your name this year. We are calling for more sponsors to come on board. Remember, this is just the launch, so the major activities are yet to take place. If you are representing your institution here, the cybersecurity platform, cybersecurity education is the best platform that you can sponsor, you can push with your resources. We want to take the closing prayer, and that will be said by Dr. Mohammed Mazouk Azindu. He is the PA to the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Usman Nuhu Shaributu. Let's welcome him with a hand of applause.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Ya Allah, we are thankful to you for the opportunity to gather here and to launch an initiative that promises to enhance national effort at ensuring cybersecurity and digital safety. Ya Allah, we ask you to grant us the wisdom to see this opportunity as a collective responsibility and a civic duty. Protect our nation, our government, our industry, our academia from all kinds of cyber attacks, and deliver our youth, who constitute a critical labor force for national development, from all kinds of cyber crimes, either as perpetrators or as victims. As we bring this program to an end, we ask you, Ya Allah, to let your blessings be on us until we get back home or to other destinations of ours. آمنا بالله واعتصمنا بالله وتوكلنا على الله ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين.
Thank you very much. We sincerely are grateful. Please let's take our seat for some few announcements before you take leave of us. Please don't walk out yet. We are not done. We're going to take photograph, but to all those who joined us online, special thanks to all of you. The feedbacks are sincerely appreciated. Kafi will run through the order of photograph, but please stay because our dignitaries will have to leave.